Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Thursday, April 24th. It also happens to be commencement, graduation day here at BYU. So we are live on the BYU TV app only.
We got the bump. We got bumped off.
I understand.
Priorities.
I understand, right? I am Spencer Linton.
Only day all year.
He is a man who graduated from BYU and is also ready for the NFL draft tonight, Jarom Jordan.
Yeah, we're wearing, swag from our teams. You got the Bengals.
Who dey?
17. We got Seahawks at 18. So hopefully you don't take the pick that, I want with the Seahawks at 18. But apparently we have draft profiles of players throughout the year. But we have one for us. We have not seen this. We don't know what's exactly on this graphic. So let's throw up the graphic and see what Spencer's draft profile looks like.
Oh, boy.
Okay, 6'1",
Apparently I'm a swim and dive guy.
You're only 175. Age redacted. Nice. 5'3", 540. That was 10 years ago. Anonymous guy works out with TJ Altenberger's scarier for shirts than an NFL defense. Nice. The picture is wonderful. All right, let's see mine.
Well played.
Let's see mine.
Oh, okay.
Redacted -2. I'm nearly 2 years younger than you. Yep, from West Jordan. Yeah, I'm up to 185. I'm gaining some weight here. He can touch the net and sometimes the backboard. Nice. Always has 17+ reasons why the schedule's too hard. Not anymore. Not anymore. Hey, at least I got a photo of me in football. They did one in like a cross-country singlet, and I was like, I look fat in this. No, please don't.
Cross-country singlet for the win.
Is that what it's even called?
Well,
I don't even know.
You did finish 55th in the state competition in cross-country.
Very, very exciting. I didn't go to practice. Why did my coach let me on the varsity team if I didn't go to practice?
I have no idea what your coach is thinking.
We must have stunk. I guess I was good enough to be on varsity, which is like top 5, top 7.
Listen, some athletes are just good in the game or on race day, right?
Yeah.
They don't need practice.
At Brigham Young University, I'm nothing. I'll tell you that.
Well done to our production crew. That's a good laugh to start the morning. All rise and shout. Let's get to what's trending.
The legend, Jimmer Fredette, right here, right now.
His singular style amazes and captivates.
Jimmer stops middle of the lane, puts it up, gets it to go! He gets it to go! Are you kidding me?
Remembering Jimmer Mania. Jimmer Fredette announces his retirement from basketball yesterday, does so on social media with the following words, and I quote, "It's time to say goodbye to basketball. I have loved every second of my career through the good and the bad. Thank you all for the support throughout the years. Basketball has made me who I am today. Excited for what is next in my life and with my family," end quote. We talked about this for a brief moment on the show because it happened during yesterday's live broadcast.
Yes.
But we need to give this its due credit.
Thanks for telling us on the ship, Jimmer. This was coming. Thanks a lot.
So as you have now contemplated on Jimmer Fredette's basketball career officially being over, what is the legacy of Jimmer Fredette?
First off, I loved the reaction from everybody yesterday. It was national. ESPN, March Madness, Bleacher Report, people talking about, oh, Jimmer's done. And for some, I think we thought, well, wait, he wasn't done. But there was a chance he was going to come back. He said, hey, not quite yet with retirement. He's one of the greatest scorers and shooters of all time in college basketball history. And you look at what he did professionally. I know it wasn't the NBA career that he or we kind of wanted for him. But what he did was maximize his abilities overseas. And he goes from a small school in Glens Falls, New York, which I had the privilege of going to twice, and doing stories during his senior year when I was here as a young BYU TV employee and getting to know him, getting to know Alan Kay and Lindsay and TJ and Jimmer and the whole story, the prison, the church, the games he'd played against the inmates, dribbling in his backyard with gloves on, in the hallways, in the dark. TJ as a rapper, this life is amazing. His junior where they go to the second round, his senior where they go to the Sweet 16 and Jimmer Mania happens, the San Diego State game, like all of this. That was BYU, and then the NBA, and then the Olympics. And it's just awesome to see where he came from. It's like this chubby kid from a small town in New York, not starting behind Ben Murdoch, to Jimmer Mania and a worldwide phenomenon. And to me, the greatest missionary of all time, because he allowed missionaries to say, oh, yeah, we're from the same church as Jimmer Fredette. People know Jimmer all across the world. He's such a good person. We've loved getting to know him so well over the years. His legacy is deep threes and what he did in that and March Madness. Like, teach me how to Jimmer. I mean, a cultural icon. I think, like, as good as A.J. DeBonce is going to be, he's going to be hard-pressed to have the impact that Jimmer made. Mainly because, I don't relate to A.J.'s athleticism. He's wonderfully athletic. People relate to this guy in a way that's kind of unique, right?
Everybody remembers and knows Jimmer Fredette in the basketball world.
Yes, AJ's going to have an amazing career. And I only bring that up just to highlight sort of Jimmer's relatability with the people as one of his unique attributes.
He transcended the sport for so many reasons. His name is a verb. Are you kidding me?
And it's kind of weird, right? You never heard the word Jimmer? Like, what is that? It's a nickname.
And it's not just a deep three now. For BYU fans, it's like, hey, let's Jimmer this pole.
Let's dominate.
Let's dominate this pole.
That's true.
Like,
it changed. Yeah.
His name has multiple meanings as a verb. Are you kidding me? But the way that he has carried himself in all things, through the ups and downs, he's always been so classy and so gracious and so kind. It has to be incredibly hard if you are him to be as down to earth and as humble when you are a bona fide superstar.
Yeah.
It cannot be easy, but somehow he has figured out that balance.
Hey, shout out to the fam and Whitney and who Jimmer has chosen to be. He's like all the BYU fans that wanted to talk to him on the cruise got to.
That's who Jimmer Fredette is.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He always has time for everyone, and that is very, very difficult to find. We're talking about basketball legacy. Yes, people will first and foremost default to the ridiculously deep three-point attempts and makes. And a lot of people agree with me, in my opinion, that it was the wrong time for Jimmer as far as an NBA career goes. Like, you have to find the right fit, the right timing for it all to come together, and it didn't work out. He had his opportunities, and it just didn't work out.
And that's all right.
Yes.
That's all right. Still a legend regardless.
He still carried himself with ultimate humility and was so classy through it all. And he shared a story with me recently that I think everybody should know. I don't know how many people have heard this, and I asked for permission to do this. But Jimmer, when he was kind of in the doldrums of the Sacramento Kings days, and understandably, there's some negativity like seeping in, like, why is this happening to me? Why did my head coach that liked me get fired? Why did the GM and the management change? Like, now I'm just kind of stuck. What do I do with this? And so kind of spiraling, and out of the blue, a former member of the Quorum of the 12 of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Elder M. Russell Ballard, calls Jimmer and says, I just felt like I needed to call you. How are you doing? And Jimmer said he unloaded all of his frustration and just let all of the bad things out. And then Elder Ballard said, Jimmer, are you reading your scriptures? And Jimmer said, no, I'm not. And he's like, do that and your life and perspective will change. And he said, from that moment, I did that and my perspective changed. Everything became more manageable, and it totally changed my attitude that, yeah, like, it's not ideal what this NBA scenario has become, but I'm going to take the opportunities and make the most of it. I thought that was so powerful, such a simple thing. And so I really appreciated that. But that goes to show you the humility that Jimmer has in that regard, where he takes that advice and is like, okay, I'm just going to change my attitude. Yeah. So we're talking about legacy.
That's humility.
I mean, he has found the balance of faith and high-level sport and family in incredibly difficult scenarios. Watching him go to China and leave a brand new baby a few days after Wesley's born.
And during COVID, he can't see his family for 6 months.
I have so much respect for him.
Yeah.
Like, his game, but even more so for who he is and how he carries himself off the floor.
I did not realize this would be an obit on his career, but that's what today is, because it's over. I didn't realize that I would sort of feel as nostalgic as I do today. So let's talk about also your favorite memory of Jimmer Fredette.
This is like choosing a favorite child. I can't do it.
Mine fluctuates by day. I don't know about you. Whoever listens the most.
You're with Deion Sanders, where it changes.
Whoever listens the most to me, they get the favorite nod.
For me, it is finally getting BYU over the hump of getting to the second weekend in the NCAA tournament. The way he dominated Gonzaga in that round of 32 game in Denver, Denver vibes, that to me is my favorite Jimmer memory. And I wasn't even there. Like, I was watching on my phone in Southern California doing a live shot at Indian Wells Tennis Garden and couldn't care less about the world-class tennis stars that were playing. It was all about Jimmer and me watching that develop on my phone, but finally feeling the relief of BYU is back in the Sweet 16 for the first time in 30 years.
Look how young he looks in all these pictures.
And he just demoralized Gonzaga. There was nothing they could do.
And it ruined it for the guys after who had to play Gonzaga. They were ticked off
It
after
woke
that.
Gonzaga up. Mark Few has talked about
Then
that.
they became
We're
top
never going to
five
let
after
this
that.
happen again. We're never going to let that scenario
Thanks,
happen.
Jimmer.
But to me, that's probably at the top of the list, certainly near the top of the list. 30 years after Danny Ainge got BYU to a Sweet 16 and Elite Eight and won National Player of the Year.
Mine's from the game behind us, San Diego State.
Woo.
Top 10 matchup, 43 points. There's not been an electricity in that gym like that since, and that includes Gonzaga game was amazing in 2020. A lot of the Big 12 games we've had have been electric. But this was special because we knew we had the best player in the country on our team against Kawhi Leonard, and it was number 6 versus number 4. What in the world? We had a court storm for the first time in recorded history at the Marriott Center.
Amazing.
I mean, it was amazing. New Mexico really sticks out too. He breaks Danny Ainge's career scoring record on a play where he also breaks the single game record. The same bucket. He scored 52 points with one free throw.
One free throw.
With one free throw. It's just amazing. It was so fun to be here during that and be the sideline reporter and go to Glens Falls like I talked about. Just a legend. And in 2026, when it's been the minimum 15 years that BYU requires before a jersey retirement, Jimmer Fredette, I would anticipate, I don't know this, but in 2026, I would anticipate that BYU retires his jersey, and that will be a very wonderful memory for everybody.
It'll be a magical night.
It'll be awesome.
It's inevitable. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen.
It is inevitable. But
it's going to happen.
I'd be shocked if it's not in 26.
Our question of the day. We've shared some of our favorite Jimmer memories with you. What is yours? Join us on social media and tell us. At EverydayJess on X says, watching Jimmer score 52 points against New Mexico at the Thomas & Mack in the Mountain West Conference tournament was electric. Just when we thought we had seen it all, he did that.
Yep.
51 from the field. Only one free throw, as we just talked about, broke BYU's all-time scoring record. An unforgettable night.
Crazy. He set the BYU single game record and the BYU career record in the same and one free throw. Crazy.
Florida Cougar on X says January 26, 2011, when Jimmer went off on Kawhi Leonard and the Aztecs for 43. For me, that was the beginning of Jimmer Mania. Frankly, for much of the basketball world, that was the beginning of Jimmer Mania.
Yeah, one could argue against Utah. It started, but this game, it was like if it hadn't started for everybody, it started after this.
Yes.
That night, Kevin Durant tweeted.
Now everybody's
Jimmer
on
Fredette
board.
is the greatest scorer in the world. He was informed of that, and Twitter was young, by the way. It was like 2 years old.
Yes.
Very young.
They continue. I remember fans mobbing him like a rock star on the court after the game.
Yep.
Wish I could have been there. Whitney had to pull her car in down the back loading dock area to sneak Jimmer out of
He told that story on the boat, the ship, which was really, really awesome. Yeah.
Weigh in on X, Facebook, and Instagram.
Okay, Boston Globe Celtics writer Adam Himmelsbach tweeted, hearing there are discussions about a possible BYU-UConn matchup at TD Garden next fall with the Cougars seeking a game in number 1 prospect A.J. DeBonce's hometown, A.J. from south of Boston. Robbie McCombs, a vanquished foe, later tweeted there have been discussions but doesn't expect it to be UConn. So what do you think of a potential matchup at either TD Garden if it's not against UConn?
I don't care who it's against, but the idea of BYU playing on the floor of the Boston Celtics as a de facto welcome home game for A.J. DeBonce is fire.
They did that with Jimmer literally in Glens Falls against Vermont. I went to that game.
I am on board. Like, I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
But if BYU is playing somebody on the home of the Boston Celtics as like a salute to AJ, holy cow, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
I did too. Hey, get Boston College. I don't know, get Harvard, get UMass.
It doesn't matter who it is.
There's some, get Holy Cross. There are some teams around that I'm sure would want to fill that up and people want to see AJ from there, that would be super cool. Again, it was cool when Jimmer did it. But that game with Jimmer, by the way, was the weirdest game I've ever been to. The reason is there was no, like, music between plays or anything. There was no, like, marketing. There were no cheerleaders at the game. So they just cheered when Jimmer scored. It was just, like, quiet when anybody else would score, Vermont or BYU, except when Jimmer scored. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I don't think it'd be like that if AJ got a game in Boston.
Yeah.
I don't really care who it's against either.
And he has shared that is one of his favorite memories as
it was
a
pretty
basketball
cool.
player is playing in that game.
It was a minor league hockey venue, like just a couple miles away from his house.
Wild.
It was cold in there. Yeah.
This is a man that had 2 Division I offers out of high school, Siena and Brigham Young University.
I think he had Utah, too. I think he told me that one time.
Oh, get added late?
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, right? Utah.
Jimmer, we salute you. You are the
I didn't realize I'd feel the death of his playing career today. I feel like sad. I feel nostalgic today. I didn't think I'd feel that way.
I'm excited to see what happens next for him because he has so much to offer. Broadcasting, if he wants to coach. Or
he will
whatever else he
join
wants
us
to
next
do.
week, by the way, to talk about his retirement, and we'll talk about the cruise and everything. Yeah.
All right, let's keep this thing rolling because outside of Jimmer, amazingly, there are still things happening.
Really?
Around BYU sports and on the national landscape of collegiate athletics, including this. Yesterday, Ross Dellinger reporting that Judge Claudia Wilkin issued an order related to the House settlement, giving attorneys 14 days to phase in and grandfather in roster limits, or she will deny the House settlement. Okay, so let's explain, and I'll let you do that in simple terms, Jarom.
I'll try.
What that means and what you make of that situation.
It's been a big House settlement. There's a lot attached to this, but the news that came out yesterday was Judge Wilkin basically said, no, you can't just cut all these rosters like the NCAA has proposed. You have to sort of phase that in. And so what teams have done is anticipated that this would get cleared, that this would happen, and apparently she's not cool with it. So BYU's had a lot of conversations, and many schools have, with their football team, let's just talk about that, okay, we have to go from 120 to 105, so we've had to cut 15 players that we don't think will be on it. So this is a little awkward because if they don't have to get to 105 and maybe they go to 115, then 110 or 105, I don't know how they'll phase it in, Spence.
Yeah.
This is awkward because BYU's already had these conversations, I imagine, with these players who are jumping in the portal because they don't feel like they didn't have a spot.
What do you say to a player that you had to cut, you didn't want to, but now they know that they were on the chopping block and they, in your mind, weren't good enough to make the 105? How do you convince that person to come back and be all in? Like, hey, I know that we didn't want you, but now we actually do want you. Like,
depends if they have a better offer and if they're cool to
creates
come
some
back.
incredibly awkward scenarios.
It's very awkward. There was an anticipation that this would pass, but it did not.
So a report said that as soon as this was announced from Judge Wilkin, all of these people are on their phones talking to lawyers like, what do we do? What do we do?
Yep.
How do we make this okay?
Yep. So it's a little tricky. I didn't think that we'd have to cover court hearings and legal stuff much on this program, but there's something that applies to this.
We're in a day and age where we can go live from the North Pacific Ocean in the middle of the water.
Yeah.
Okay? So we might as well
We
just
can do it all.
with discussing court situations.
Okay, defensive tackle Josh Singh announced he entered his name into the transfer portal yesterday. I don't know whether it's related to this previous story or not, but how are you feeling about BYU's defensive tackle depth now?
Yeah, I don't like that because I was already concerned about the depth at that position.
I thought he would play a bunch.
And he had a good spring ball.
Yeah, heard some good stuff. Here are the guys who have entered the portal from the D tackles. Remember, there are only 9 listed. So Selison, Singh, Letuili, and 2J in the portal. 4 of the 9 are in the portal. That's a little concerning from just a numbers standpoint.
Yeah, not surprising. It has been confirmed to me from several members of the staff that they are looking for a defensive tackle in the portal.
So let's talk about some of the main guys. You got Keanu Tanavasa.
Huge get, obviously.
You got Tom Moipea. You got Purcell, who's come over from Southern Utah. Sani Tuala's kind of learning the game. JC guy from Australia. And those are kind of the healthy dudes that are ready to rock. You need a couple more bodies in there probably.
BYU has one that they're super hopeful for. I can't tell you who it is or the school that he was previously playing for, but he's in the South, and they feel like they got a great shot to go and get this guy, a guy that wants to make the jump to Power 4 football. So we will see.
And they'll need a few more guys if all 4 of those guys leave.
Yeah, I don't like it. I would love
I don't either.
Josh Singh to be a part of this BYU team because he knows and understands every little nuance of what he's supposed to do in Jay Hill's defense.
Yes. So certainly they've got some talent in there, but from a numbers perspective, it'd be nice to add a few because you have 4 in the portal. Okay, watch BYU softball at Baylor tonight, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN+. Cougs playing pretty well right now.
Up next, former BYU basketball head coach Dave Rose joins us to discuss the Jimmer Fredette legacy, recruiting him to BYU, and more. This is BYU Sports Nation.